Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Sunandini and I'm an entrepreneur who has been associated with Inside IM as a host since 2022. This webinar is all about figuring out your life to the point where you can become a founder or a CEO of a 7-year-old marketing and advertisement company with more than 800. I think we will cross-check that with Akshay, and has been featured as part of LinkedIn's list of top startups in India in 2018 and also won a Digital Agency of the Year award at CMO Asia. Schbang, again, the pronunciation has to be corrected by Akshay soon, I guess. I hope it's Schbang. It essentially means read what follows in its entirety, a reference against its quest towards completeness. And we will understand more on this during this webinar. Today, we are very happy to have Mr. Akshay Gurnani, one of the co-founders of Schbang, for whom brands like IITs and IIMs do not define. Rather, instead of that, he created his own brand, which has worked with well-known companies like Asian Paints, Lakme, LinkedIn, Ashok, Leyland, and many more that we'll discuss further. What we are going to understand today is the journey of a founder, from education to experience to creating and executing a concept from scratch. And we are going to discuss why digital marketing is important and the different opportunities that you can get in this industry. So guys, if you have any questions, just hit it on the live chat and we'll take that up during the Q&A session. Moving forward, really great having you here, Akshay. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much. Yeah, just two corrections. So it's 1,000 people now and it's
Oh.
Schbang. It's
Shebang.
Schbang, yes, Schbang.
Okay,
Yeah,
got it. If I make some mistake in between, you can always correct me again.
cool, no problem.
So, Akshay, you are the CEO of Schbang now. But before we go into the current and the future of this whole thing, we want to come back to the past and understand your bachelor's degree or how you were during your bachelor's. And if I'm not wrong, you did your bachelor's in management studies. And putting these 2 points together, I am guessing that you always wanted to create a company. So, am I right here?
Yes, absolutely. Very, very right, actually. So, and you're taking a step back. So, I'm born and brought up in Bombay. I did my schooling in Bombay as well. I went to junior college in this college called HR College, which is in Bombay at Churchgate. I also did my undergrad there in BMS, Bachelor of Management Studies. Again, when I was sort of in college back then, there were not so many streams. It was either like accounting and finance, like media management, or Bachelor of Management Studies. And I thought that, BMS would be the right kind of fit because, yeah, somewhere I wanted to run my own company in life because I come from a family of entrepreneurs as well. I thought maybe if I can understand the entire spectrum of what goes into building a company, building a team, building cultures, building different aspects of the company, I thought that would be sort of the right way to go for me. And BMS sort of became the natural fit in that sense. I'm glad I did that because I got an understanding of right from how finance works to marketing to HR to organizational skills. Presentation skills was an integral part of that course as well. So yeah, I think that really helped me sort of groom myself to becoming a leader. Um, Again, back in college, I was always the kid who used to be a class representative, topping the class, doing all these extracurricular activities. So I think a lot of those experiences combined gave me the leadership, experience to actually build something of my own, which is where the thought of, running my own company also sort of came into play. Yeah.
So, was marketing something that you always had in your mind?
So I enjoyed writing copy. I enjoyed making presentations. I enjoyed thinking of campaigns. So I didn't know whether it was marketing or whether it was just the fun of being creative. Because again, back in the day, I think nowadays you guys have so many more opportunities and so many different streams to sort of specialize in. But back then we didn't have so many different things. So it was either like doing finance or marketing. And marketing that time was more of like mainline marketing. There was not so much digital marketing. So it was more of saying, okay, how can you write good headlines or posters or doing outdoor marketing or writing scripts for television commercials. Digital was still very nascent back in 2008, 9, 10, which when I was back in BMS in college. And so I thought marketing was fun. I always thought it's a fun stream to be in because I enjoyed conceptualizing campaigns. But in fact, I was the only student in my class to do both marketing and finance. But I specialized in finance actually. So even though I sat for all my marketing lectures, I gave all my marketing presentations, I specialized in finance. I gave my board exams in finance. I scored my lowest marks in finance. And I also found a job as a financial analyst right after that. So it's quite interesting how, like, I thought that, at the age of 21, I said, okay, let me try also learning finance because maybe in the future I might do marketing, but if I can at least learn the basics of finance right now, it'll be good to at least build that knowledge in case I do become an entrepreneur as well, because finance, of course, plays a very integral part of building your own company. And I think today I'm very thankful for having spent that 1 year also studying finance, because now it helps me, when it comes to understanding P&Ls, balance sheets. Of course, I'm creative, but I need to understand numbers, being an entrepreneur myself. So it's a mix of both. But yeah, I didn't know whether marketing is going to be my calling. I said, let me at least become an entrepreneur, but marketing was by the way, if you ask me. Yeah.
So, if I had to ask, you were doing finance and then you suddenly decided, okay, I'm going to go into marketing. So, do you remember the first encounter that you ever had that made you think that, okay, this is my calling?
Yeah, I think I picked marketing by removing finance from my. So the thing is, I purposely picked a job in finance because I said, let me try doing it. And I absolutely hated it. I spent 6 months as a financial analyst, and I spent way too many days in office. I was spending like three nights in office, and financial analysts typically work around the clock, and that really got me burnt out. And that's when that's that switch sort of flips in. What am I doing? Why am I trying to just pull on in a career where I don't see myself building going forward, which is when the thought of saying, okay, fine, let me switch to marketing overnight. And luckily for me, my friends had started an agency back then, and had actually interned with them a couple of years prior to that in marketing. So I knew them, I knew of the company. I said, okay, let me try giving that a shot and see how it goes from there. And that's how my switch into marketing actually happened almost overnight. Like I remember I quit on a Friday, and Monday I started my marketing job. It was like I literally had like the weekend. It was like a Diwali weekend, I remember. And Monday I started afresh, from wearing pant and shirt to go into a financial, office to like coming into marketing and wearing shorts and chappals. So, like it literally happened like overnight, and there's been no looking back ever since. If you ask me, yeah.
Okay, got it. So, this was 2009, right?
Yeah, around 9, 10, the 10 actually, if you ask me, 2010, yeah, yeah.
So, at that time, when you just finished or you left finance, what was marketing to you exactly?
So, as I was saying, marketing was just creating good outdoor campaigns, good, print ads, making television commercials. There was not so much of social media platforms back then. We had platforms like Orkut. If you even know what Orkut was, I don't
Yeah.
know if you even know what Orkut was.
We are not that
I know that.
young.
Okay, not that. Okay, I'm glad. I'm glad then. But yeah, I mean, it was awkward back then, and I remember Facebook came in a little after that as well. Of course, the Facebook was around, but I think Facebook came into India a little later on. Um, and we didn't know what to do, right? So we said, okay, fine, we can create content for a brand on Facebook. Literally, I remember we used to go on to Google and find images and put up one line of caption, and that was a post. Today, if you pick up an image from Google, you'll get sued for that. You'll get publishing, you'll get like a big lawsuit on you. But back then we used to do that. We used to go on to Google Images, find an image, put up a caption, and that was it. We used to put up a couple of tweets every day, and that was social media marketing. So back then marketing was very, very, especially in the digital space, was very nascent. It was just about doing the absolute basics. We didn't know better than that. People were building websites back then. Websites were a thing because you wanted like a basic templatized web 2 kind of a platform where at least you can showcase your brochure in a way. And that was there. So we used to write copyright, we used to write copies for websites, we used to like build UI UX for websites. But that's what marketing for us was. There was not much beyond that until Facebook introduced advertising, where they opened up the APIs to actually advertise. That's when we're like, okay, fine, we can run ads now. We can actually run ads on Facebook. Can you write good ad copies? Can you create good ad units to actually run media on? So that's when it started picking up a lot more. But yeah, back in the day, it was more about just doing like a lot of mainline work, and social was very, very nascent. Yeah.
Right. So this company that your friend owned, was it Foxy Moron?
Well, yeah, Foxy, yes.
Okay. So, if I had to ask about the company itself, what did you guys do and what was your role specifically in this company?
So, I mean, they actually started off as this to create merchandise. They would create posters, like typically like out of college, simple stuff, right? Like what every college community requires, right? Like you need posters and banners, you need some merchandise, t-shirts.
Mm.
That's what they started off doing. But that's when, social media actually started kicking in, and that's when they actually got into social media, saying, okay, let's try writing, creating content for brands online. So they were doing a lot of social media marketing. They were doing a bit of photography, a bit of website content as well, website development. But that was very nascent again. It was just back in 2010 where there were still a bunch of youngsters trying out something new, like let's see what goes from there. And they were among the first few agencies back in the day, who were doing SMM. We call it social media marketing. SMM was the terminology. And yeah, I mean, I'm saying like we were all figuring it out. Like we had no idea. We was like literally figuring it out, right? Like, let's see what are brands asking us for? Can we try doing it for them? So that's how it was. Yeah.
So during this time, was there a situation where you had a demand that companies and agencies were coming to you and asking for content, or were you going to companies and be like, okay, this can help you?
Yeah. So some of the larger MNC companies who had, presence across the world, of course, they were sensitized towards the importance because in the West, their counterparts were already creating content on social platforms. So suddenly they were asking us, saying, what, this is what we are doing abroad. Can you guys do it in India as well? So that's how it actually started, creeping in. But then also, like a lot of our work went into sensitizing clients, saying, why should you create a Twitter handle? Why should you come on to a Facebook page, for example? Right? What will happen if I do that? Why should I create content on YouTube? So there was a lot of education required, in just the basics of saying why should I be on the platform? Because brands were like, what, I'm spending media monies on television, I'm getting sales, I'm spending money offline, I'm getting sales. Why should I come onto one new platform and then again spend on paying an agency to create content for me? Like, what's it going to do for me, right? So that
Right.
was the kind of conversation having back then, and back then data was expensive. Today data is practically free. I remember, assuming you are as old as me or a little younger, but we used to literally like be penny wise and like save every GB of data. We would put off our data not to stream too much content because the smartphones were not so evolved. We were still using like
Yeah.
so by default we were not confident of where this is moving towards.
Hmm.
And that's how it was. Yeah, I mean we were just figuring it out, honestly. Yeah.
And do you
Yeah.
have any interesting example of something that you created at those initial years in Foxymoron?
um you know it's funny because life has come full circle for me. I had actually, so we one of our first big clients was the L'Oreal group, and L'Oreal has a brand called Garnier under L'Oreal. I remember creating all of the Garnier pages. So like create actually going and creating it with my email ID, like Garnier Men, Garnier White Complete, Garnier Pure Active, and they were called different names back there because the brands changed the names eventually. Um, and this was like 12 years ago. I'd actually created these pages on my own, on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube as well. And now at Shebang, I work with them again. I've started working with them just last year. In fact, I started working with them again. And it's like, life has come full circle from creating their content, creating their pages back in the day to now again managing their profiles at my own company. That's been like for me, like life has come full circle in a way. Yeah.
That's great. That's very interesting to think about. You were one of the first ones to, get in a new train, let's just say, in that
Yeah, I
time.
mean, I keep saying this, right? I was at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
I took a punt. I said, let me get into something which is growing, which is new, which is probably the future of the country and probably the future of marketing. Let me get out of a well-paying finance job and go into marketing. I said again, I kept telling myself like I'm still young. I'm only 21. What's the
Hmm.
worst that can happen at 21, right? Like, I mean, you'll fail. You'll be 22. You can jump into something else, but I can't take the risk when I'm 35 or 40, right? Like, so
Hmm.
that was the thing at the back of my mind that take the risk while I can, while I'm young, and make the most of it. Like, learn as much as I can. If a new door opens up, a new opportunity comes my way, take it up. What's the worst that can happen?
Got it. So I saw your profile and I saw that you were promoted so fast. I don't know, it was like 5 months duration when I think you were promoted from social media executive to digital marketing manager. So, like, what is the change in the role, if you have to say, between these two?
Yeah. So I think that the change in role primarily was, I was able to manage people. When I started off, I was managing myself and just like
Hmm.
my own work. But as I grew in the company, as the industry grew, as my hunger to learn grew, I also started managing people under me. So even though I was just 22, I had like three people reporting into me, and that was a different kind of a experience altogether. Like, of course, I did have a lot of leadership experience from back in college, but coming into a professional workspace, managing people's task lists, managing more clients, that was a new challenge for me. So, like in those 5 months, I grew into becoming a leader of sorts.
Hmm.
And then, of course, I actually attribute my growth towards how the industry was growing. Like, because the industry was growing so quickly and so fast, and this need for social media agencies was becoming so burning, that's how I kept growing, because I kept learning more. I kept, interacting more with more people. I kept trying to imbibe as much as I could. And suddenly clients were taking me seriously. Like I felt I'm still young, but clients took me seriously because they didn't know anything about social media. Suddenly
Hmm.
they want to listen to me. They want to hear what I'm saying about social media content.
Right. And one more very interesting thing that I saw is within those, in your Foxy Moron days, within 3 years, you were promoted to business head of North. But meanwhile, you also pursued MCOM. So I want to understand, why did you even find the need to do this new degree, like another degree? And was
Yeah.
it important or is it relevant?
Again, so back then it was important. Back then it was relevant because I felt if I got to go and do an MBA abroad, I needed my 16th year of education. I don't even know if it's relevant in today's day and age, but back then we needed a 16th year of education.
Hmm.
So the MCOM became a natural extension to that. So I did 3 years of BMS followed by 1 year of actually 2 years of MCOM. So I got my 16th and 17th year because I thought maybe I can do an MBA after working for a couple of years. But that's when the opportunity to actually go to Delhi came in to head the business for Foxy. And again, I was 23 that time, so it was a choice between heading a company or then going and doing my own MBA degree, maybe in the US or UK. And I picked the former. I said, let me go and run a company.
Hmm.
Let me try something different again, with the intention saying, I'm young. It's a great opportunity. What's the worst that can happen? And today I still don't have an MBA. I don't have an MBA yet. So I'm glad I didn't take up the do the MBA eventually. Yeah.
But this is, you're 23, you are the business head of a full like side, north
Yeah.
side.
Yeah.
And you also said people started taking you seriously because you understood social media, and
Yeah.
which other people didn't.
Yeah.
So, like, if I had to ask, I am sitting in front of you as a company coming and asking for help. So,
Yeah.
what is it that you knew and I didn't?
I knew the platforms very well. Like I knew what works in terms of marketing on these platforms, which the traditional marketers did not understand. They don't understand how to create a brand online. I understood that. I understood how you can make good content, how you can run ads, how you can create leads. They didn't understand that. And which is why, like, when I spoke, they took me seriously because they felt like, okay, he's coming with a different set of knowledge altogether. It's not like every client converted, but out of every 10 clients you pitched to, maybe two or three converted because they felt like, hey, let's give this a shot. This is moving in the direction of digital. The entire country is moving towards digitization, so let's give it a shot and see where it goes. So of course we had a few clients giving us projects saying, try this out, dekhte kya hota hai, right?
Hmm.
They did not give you like a 1 year commitment, like a retainership. They said, okay, theek hai, dekhte hai, let's do a 2 month project, let's see what comes out of it. But when they tasted success, that's when they felt, okay, there's something here. My community is building on Facebook, my community is building on Twitter. How can I get more fans to come and participate in a contest, right? So they kept taking me seriously because they felt like, okay, this guy is saying something and the platform is actually performing that way. So let's
Right.
give him more opportunity. Let's give him more work. And that's how we started converting retainers, wherein the client would promise us a full 12-month contract. But it started off by giving them these 1 2 month kind of project, like
Hmm.
taste of blood, basically. Taste blood, and then you just take the entire thing from there. Yeah.
Got it. And after I think 4 years, you decided to leave Foxymono.
Yeah.
So, and you started your own company. So, why was this transition? What happened?
So yeah, again, so I was 25 by the time I finished my stint at Foxy, and I had a team of 40 people doing 7-8 crore of business over there in 1.5 years. So I said, okay, fine, like I have the confidence now to build a team, to build business. So if I can do it for somebody else, why can't I do it for my own self, right? Like, if I can grow somebody else's company, why not do it for my own self and take the punt again? I kept saying, I'm only 25 now. I'm just
Mhm.
25, right? Like, what's the worst that can happen? I kept telling myself that I have no pressure of anything right now. I can just do it. And that's how it happened. Like me and my two partners, Harshal and Soul, we all three actually worked at Foxy together. We all three moved out and started Shebang. So we knew the industry, we knew the clients, we knew how the industry works. We had many friends working at the brand side. So we said it's a good calculated risk because we already have a good base of knowledge, and we know what clients require. So can we just take the learnings from what we have and build further from there? And that's how Shebang actually came into being in January of 2015.
Okay. And was there some problem or challenge that you were trying to solve with Shebang?
Yeah,
Was there a different concept compared to Foxymoron, or was it that you guys had all the skills that you got from Foxymoron, and
yeah,
obviously the skills are ever changing now, and you
yeah,
were continuously gaining and you're solving? But was there a
yeah.
bigger cost to it?
Yeah. So, one of the key gaps that we noticed in the industry back then was the fact that there was not one singular integrated marketing agency which was independent, who was doing everything end to end, right from social media to influencers to media production, SEO, websites, branding.
Hmm.
There was not one agency doing all of that under one roof. Of course, there were many group companies, larger group companies who were doing that, but then their pricing is very, very exorbitant. We said, how can we sort of be an independent agency who's providing everything to a client under one roof? And that's how the even the word shebang came into being. So shebang actually means completeness, the whole shebang actually. It means completeness, wholeness, integration. And it comes from a 17th century phrase called the whole shebang. In fact, even our logo is a fusion of the hashtag and the exclamation mark, which means complete in Unix code. It completes the
Hmm.
code. So the thought of Shebang actually came saying, okay, how can we create a Shebang and provide holistic solutions to clients? So in fact, the full form is, the S stands for solutions across, consumer inciting across a holistic media, which is the H, to create a bang. Basically, that's what Shebang actually, in our way, means. Yeah, yeah.
That's damn interesting.
Yeah,
So, I think moving forward, let's understand even deeper on your expertise and how you or your opinion on digital marketing shaping the future of our country or the world or in
sure,
market space.
sure. Yeah,
So, let's start with the basic most thing that what is marketing in a nutshell, and how is digital marketing different from a normal or an old style of marketing?
sure. So marketing in the traditional sense is, getting a product or a service from the point of creation to the end customer, right? It's the entire process, right from the brand creation, the product, to the pricing, to thinking of the place of promotion, to thinking of how you can sell it, to marketing it, and then getting the sales done eventually, right? So it's the entire spectrum of all of these tasks that go into getting the service or the product from the producer to the end consumer, right?
Hmm.
That's in pure terms what marketing is all about. So of course, digital marketing comes from the sense that how can you use a digital platform or a digital, intervention to create a lot of these interventions. So right from, talking to a customer on a digital platform to advertising to them, to creating campaigns online, to using an internet device basically that can also allow you to connect the point A to point B, right?
Hmm.
That's what digital marketing is all about. And today, the spectrum of digital has evolved from, all your Web 2 services to now today Web 3 as well when it
Hmm.
comes to blockchains and metaverses and NFT creations. It's all a part of a way to give the customer an engagement or an sense of what the brand is, and to get them to actually buy into you at some point in time, right? Eventually we are on the platform to sell. So it could be selling through engagement, selling through attention, selling through an actual click. It depends on how you want to plan your campaign, but it is all about getting that product or service from point A to point B basically.
Got it. And if you had to say different styles or types of digital marketing, what are those types?
When you mean types, what do you mean by types, as in?
As in the digital platforms where you are trying to sell or get someone's attention. So what are the, like, social media is one of them. So what
Oh,
else is there?
so I mean, there's content marketing, which is
Mm.
all about content creation. So it's sort of creating long form content, short form content. It could be with collaborators. There's influencer marketing as well, right? Which
Mm.
includes opinion leaders, influencers who create content on behalf of the brand, who endorse the brand, who give reviews for the brands. Today, you and me both are influencers. We both influence our own
Mm.
community of friends, family. Doesn't matter how many followers we have. Even if we can influence two people around us, we're an influencer. Of course, if you have a million followers, you can command a price, you can charge money. But even today, you and me as individuals are also influencing people in our circle. So we're influencers. We influence, decisions. There's performance marketing, which includes, all of your performance media. So running advertising on different performance platforms to get that message across, to get a click, to get a conversion, to eventually get people down from the awareness funnel into the conversion funnel.
Mm.
Um, there's of course like a lot of website marketing as well that happens through direct to consumer websites. You create websites, you create interfaces where people can buy, can shop from your website. Um, you know, there's actually lots under that. The SEO is one part of marketing as well, right? Where it's about search engine optimization. So optimizing your content on your website to get better, traffic to site, to rank higher on Google. Um, there's one part of digital marketing, also the entire branding side of it. So how do you create brands through identity creation? So like it's a logo unit, it's the way you speak, it's about your identity creation. So yeah, different facets of things. Yeah.
So, I'm not from a marketing background, so it's a lot of information.
Yeah.
And if I had to ask you to simplify this, maybe not including everything, but as you said, Shebang is all about completeness from end to end. So
Yeah.
I want to understand what is the start of that point and what is the end of that point in marketing terms. Like maybe a company comes, you are like, okay, we need a brand name for you, then create a logo, then in sequence, what are the things that you guys do to complete the whole thing?
So typically we work with brands who already have a product or service in mind. They already know what they want to achieve. So they've already done their need gap analysis. They already understand the customers. They understand the consumers. So they already come knowing, okay, fine, we want to sell a particular product or a service. Of course, they might come to us. So we recently started a new company called Shebang Theta. So Theta basically does a lot of branding activities as well for brands who are still trying to size up their market. They're trying to understand, should we get into this industry or not get into the industry. But traditionally, we've always been about, okay, getting brands on board who already have a service or product in place, then working with them and advising them, saying, now that we know what you want to achieve, how do we spend that money? What kind of platform should we be on? What kind of content should go onto the platform? How should we promote that content better? Do we require a website or not? How do we get a conversion for you? What's the end objective? So we go in all of the different steps for the customer to again connect them from where they know themselves in terms of what they can offer to what they can deliver to the end consumer. So the entire spectrum of work. So they might require interventions like getting a media plan in place. They might require an influencer plan to come in as well. They might require a new website to be built out for them or a microsite. They might require like an app to be made. Today, brands are asking us to create metaverses for them. So, all of these things is something we sort of consult them on and then execute for them as well. So, yeah.
Okay, so you have like you execute also, you just don't advise them to
Of
do.
course, I mean, we're 1,000 people. So we not only are giving gyan, we're also executing it because, you need people to run the show for you, right? It's good to have things on paper, it's good to have things in words, but you've got to actually show the result to the client and tell them how it's done and show them how it's done actually. Yeah.
Right. And since we spoke that you were one of the first ones to get into this when social media just came into picture.
Right.
And what I want to know is maybe take a company like Asian Paints, and it is a 70-year-old company, but the paint they have improved the paint. Definitely, the product is improving, but the marketing is also improving a lot. So, if I had to compare the past with the present and the future, as Web3 is also coming, so I want to understand how, taking for example Asian Paints only into picture, maybe that how were they marketing before, how it changed into digital marketing, and how do you think Web3 can help them market their product in an even better way than
Sure.
now?
Sure. See, so before they must have come on to digital, a lot of their work was primarily creating good television commercials,
Yeah.
advertising on the main television channels, spending a lot on outdoor advertising. But what happened eventually is that the customers started coming on to digital as a platform where they could actually build communities, where digital people wanted to know more about a particular product. They could ask questions, they could interact with the brand. So suddenly the requirement for the brand became that how do I build a community around people who are interested in, say, home decor, who are interested in getting inspired to make their house look better, right? So suddenly the conversation goes from this being a pure paint company to saying, how do I inspire people to live better, or how do I inspire people to have a nicer looking environment around you, right? So not only saying ये wall पे paint लगा दो, by saying that how can I do the decor, how can I change the colors of my drapes, how can I add in a planter, for example, to make my house look a little more fresh and green, right? So the customer eventually evolved to saying, I no longer want to know about the paint anymore because I understand paint. Paint, I can call up a painter, he'll come and tell me the best paint to use. But I want to be inspired to know how can I make my space around me look a lot more, better, or like I want to feel better. My house should be a little more warm or welcoming, right? So that's when the brand realized that it's no more about selling paint. It's about selling a lifestyle. It's about selling an emotion of coming home into a space where you feel comfortable, and that's how sort of the entire digital journey got created. Say, how can we create content with architects? How can we create, content with people like you and me who have our own favorite corner? I'm sure in your house you have your own favorite corner, right? It could be like a nice chair where you probably sit. Okay, the yellow wall, right? Exactly. This is my favorite corner where I have like my picture on the wall over there. I have a nice wallpaper. It's a Nilaya wallpaper from Asian Paints, actually.
This
Uh,
is also Asian.
Oh, great. So we so it became a lot more about conversation with customers saying, tell us what makes you feel comfortable in your own space, right? And then crowdsourcing a lot of these, you know, ideas, inspiration, hacks and tips, and that's where the community became a lot about home decor rather than just paints. Today, if it asks me about Web3, the brand is not doing too much right now, Web3, but for them, maybe they can actually create like an entire metaverse engagement where people can come inside an immersive experience inside a home. They can probably click on things, they can interact with the walls, they can interact with certain items inside there. They can probably paint a wall if they want. So you can actually make it interactive now. You can make them feel like they're part of the ecosystem. Um, like for example, they also have something where you can just take your phone camera, you can point your phone camera to the wall. It will show you how the wall will look with a certain shade of color as well, right? So you can pick different colors. So it's become a lot more immersive because the customer's attention has gone from saying ki हाँ paint batao to saying, tell me how will it look inside my space, show me what it will look like, how will I feel when I'm with that paint, right? So that's how the evolution actually happened with the brands. And I think it's across brands. It's across the entire spectrum of brands, actually, if you ask me.
Right. And since you have been in this space for so long, I can talk about Gen Zs mainly. We have a very, very less attention span. And that is an issue to grab our attention because we can't give that much attention to anything. So how do you think marketing is innovating itself to grab attention from people like us? Because we will be the ones who will be working and the working class people will be earning and spending on these things. So how
Right.
do you think you guys are innovating?
So you gotta feed into the lack of attention, right? I mean, we keep saying this, that today's Gen Z, today's Gen Alpha have the attention span of a goldfish, right? Like you show them something for 2 seconds, 3 seconds, that's enough. Because there's a stat which Mark Zuckerberg keeps saying is that you have literally 1 second to create an impression on the person's mind when he's scrolling down his timeline, right? Exactly 1 second, 1.2 seconds actually, to be honest, to be precise. So what's actually happened is that our jobs have become a lot more tougher because you've got to make engaging content in shorter durations.
Yeah.
So earlier we used to write content for 2 and 3 minutes. Today we write content for 6 seconds. We shoot videos for 6 seconds. So in fact, YouTube has a ad unit called the bumper ad. It's only 6 seconds, right? So you can't go beyond a 6 second ad unit now on YouTube in certain cases. So it's become a lot more tougher because you've got to say enough in lesser amount of time, or you've got to suddenly catch the eye by doing something different, something dramatically different could be like a 3D post, like a 4D post, something coming out of the screen, to grab their attention. So the lack of attention has actually made us think of newer ways to communicate. And that's where the creativity sort of comes in, right? How do you, in that short period of that of time, how do you capture the attention? How do you make them engage? Because every piece of content that we create today on social media is trackable. We have data, we can track how much the engagement rates are. So all of these metrics are usually questioned at the end of the month, right? Clients will ask us saying, why has the engagement rate gone down? Or why has my cost per click increased? You've got to keep innovating with your content to ensure that these metrics are all healthy and you're doing the page health is good. Otherwise, everything is tracked. You cannot hide anything from the client, unlike on a hoarding, for example, when some you can't, how do you quantify eyeballs, right? It's very difficult to quantify eyeballs, but on digital every number is tracked: impressions, reach, engagement rate. So you've got to be like on top of your game to ensure that the content's working and it's getting its results. Yeah.
And can you tell us something, a content that went viral that you created?
So in fact, recently my team had made a piece of content for this brand called Fevicol. So we handle the entire Pidilite mandate as well. Again, legacy brand who's been around in the industry for 61 years now. They've been known for their advertising. Actually, Fevicol, Fevikwik have been known for their advertising, from the good old Ogilvy days. And they came to us saying, make us contemporary, make us young, make us cool. So how does Fevicol, which is talking to carpenters, sort of become a cool brand on social media? So recently we did a post when Ronaldo, I don't know if you remember this incident that happened where Ronaldo moved the Coke bottles from his, yeah,
water.
yeah. So we in fact made a post where we put two Fevicol dabbas and it says ki na bottle hategi na stock price ghategi, because what happened is that the Coke stock price went down by a couple of percentages after that
Because
incident,
of,
right? Yeah, so that post viral actually, across all groups, all WhatsApp groups, across LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. It was everywhere. In fact, it was in all the news platforms as well. In fact, if you went and searched for the keyword Coca-Cola, that post was coming up. So imagine it was like a generic keyword like Coke, our Facebook, our Fevicol post was coming up. So it really, really viral. That was the biggest viral that we've ever had. Yeah, and there's no formula for it, to be honest. Like, it's just about being in the moment. We call it moment marketing. It's about being insightful, finding the right consumer insight, and being prompt. I mean, the faster you can put it out, the better it is for you. You can't put the same post after one day. It'll be old news by then, right? Like, content moves so quickly. Like, something even 3 or 4 hours old is old. Like, you got to be like really, really quick. And that's the toughest job, right? How you quick enough to be creative, design the post, get it approved from the client, post it up, and then hope for the best, right? So it's a multi step process, but that's the fun of marketing, digital marketing, that it's got to be quick, it's got to be snappy. You can't think too much.
But how is your work-life balance? Because I'm just asking because you have to be on all the time. If some news comes, you are like, nahi, I'm on a date right now. You can't do that, right?
You're asking me personally as an individual, or
Not
you're asking,
personally.
yeah, okay.
Company.
Come.
Company.
So, I mean, honestly, it depends, at what designation band the person is working at. Of course, if you're a leader, as a leader, you're working across many more brands, but you have people doing a lot of the execution for you. It's typically the juniors and the creative people who are spending a lot more time thinking of new ideas and creative. So, of course, their work-life balance is a bit compromised in a way, because they're also in their early years of life, so they want to put in that enthusiastic energy into building good content and doing well. So, but I think as you go up the ladder, life seems to become a little more planned, because you are working with a lot more people under you. You are working with a lot more processes. So like, for example, for me as well, like, even though my team is 1,000 people, of course I will have certain key client calls to do on the weekend, but it's not like I'm working all the time. Like, I have time to go and play tennis. I probably go and do photography. I'll travel over the weekends or whatever. But my mind is, of course, always on. Like, my mind is always working, but I might not be sitting physically at the laptop and writing emails. But so I think it depends on where you are in your journey as well. And of course, in the first couple of years, I keep telling everybody, like, no, have this infectious energy to do good work. If it means you've got to work the long hours, so be it, because those are the most formative years for you in your in your journey in the industry or in the company. So make the most of those years, because they will not come back again. So learn as much as you can, because once you start growing up the ladder, you tend to become more methodical in the way you work. But the crazy energy usually comes when you're in your first 3, 4, 5 years of your formative years, basically, if you ask me. Yeah.
And what is the most favorite campaign that you have seen or you have created till now?
Uh, So, I love being a part of campaigns that create a change, that have some sort of a change in the industry or in the ecosystem that we operate under. And we've been working with this pharmaceutical company called Cipla for the past 5 years, actually. And we've been running a campaign called Berok Zindagi. It's primarily targeted to asthmatics, so people who have a respiratory disease called asthma, or, so we've been actually working with the brand for the past 5 years on the exact same campaign. The insights don't change because asthma does not change overnight. The consumers don't change overnight. So the insights have been the same. That how do you normalize asthma as a respiratory disease in India, because there are many taboos associated with asthma. So every year we do a new campaign around the same topic of Berok Zindagi, by getting asthmatics to come out and live a Berok life. So we've had, like, celebrity asthmatics come out and talk, like a Parupali Kashyap, for example. He's a badminton champion, but he still plays with an inhaler in his bag all the time. So we brought out stories, and we've actually reached out to almost, you know I think about 9 or 10 million asthmatics in India, and gotten at least 25,000 asthmatics to come and share their stories of asthma with us. And that in itself has somewhere normalized the issue of asthma. So I love campaigns that have a long life. They don't just end after 3 months because ठीक है campaign हो गया पैसे खत्म हो गए. No, it's about a long term, uh, you know, focused attention towards making a change in the country, and that's what I really love about this campaign.
That sounds really nice. So now, maybe looking at from a career point of view,
Yeah.
what are the opportunities in digital marketing space? What kind of roles can one get? And what is the future of digital marketing?
Oh, the tons. Honestly, the tons. Like when I started off my career, we had like 5 different streams to get into in a digital marketing agency. Today, there are 45. Today, in my company, Ashok Bank, we have 45 different kind of streams of openings in the company. So, right from content writing, strategy, creative, influencer management, marketing, to media planning, buying, planning, SEO, content writing, front end, back end, QCing, script writing, producing, directing, editing, branding. So there are a lot of different things. And if you ask
We will
me,
take a list later on,
I'll
45 things.
I'll just send you my careers page on my website. You can just go and check out all the openings over there. But no, to answer your question, there are lots of opportunities actually, and you can really specialize in very micro things even today. When it comes to say, okay, I only want to write scripts for television commercials. There's a role for that as well. Um, you can say, I want to design post for Instagram. There's a role for that specifically. There's a role for saying, I want to QC the website. I only want to do QCing to check the quality of a website. There's a role for that as well. And it's a full-fledged role. It has its own KPIs. It has its own job description. So there are many different streams available today. But of course, creativity is at the heart of a lot of things that we do. So anything which has a creative side to it, anything which has like a technology side to it as well, has a big future, because a lot of brands are moving towards being technology first. So like building your own websites, getting into data analytics, data science. Data has become one big stream as well. So anything which has a fusion of creative with data or with technology has a big future, because even with Web3, for example, it's building on a tech which is on the blockchain, but being creative, right? Having good art forms in terms of NFTs, having engagement in a metaverse, which is also creative in its own self as a creative environment. So it's creative with technology, something that we are seeing as the future of marketing, specifically.
And are there any skill sets which are common to many of these roles?
I think I wouldn't say common, but like being a good copywriter, writing good content, it helps a lot, because it helps. That's a life skill, right? Like writing good content, writing good email, for example, it goes a long way in showing clarity of thought, the way you communicate. So I personally feel just having good communication skills is like a common thread across everything you can do, be it from writing a code to designing something and selling the idea to writing a script. You got to be a good communicator, writing good content, writing good copies, writing good emails, presenting yourself. That's, I think, a skill which will never go out of style ever.
Makes sense. So I think the last question from my side is, what is the future of Shbang? And if I'm pronouncing Shbang correctly,
Perfect.
and what is your motivation and your personal goals as well?
Sure. So, future of Shebang. So we just started in London. We started our fourth office actually, and London's the newest office that we have. We should be expanding to Dubai maybe next year. So for us, the future is a lot of technology with creativity fused together. Of course, expansion will come geographically. So we will be expanding from India. So our motto is India to the world. So, how can we take an Indian homegrown company to the rest of the world? Because typically in our marketing industry, if you know, many of the larger groups are all European, Japanese, American. There is not a single large Indian agency who's catering to the entire world, and that is our mission, our goal, our vision, our motivation, whatever you want to call it. And that's going to be the expansion for us. So technology is going to be one key part of that. Working with brands who are into direct to consumer, bottom funnel conversions, and expanding geographically. That's going to be our big focus for the next couple of years. Of course, growing the India team for sure, but then also delivering newer services depending on whatever the client requires. So it all comes down to understanding what the client needs and providing the whole shebang. Um, we're actually launching our own talent management agency at the end of this month as well. We're teamed up with one of India's largest influencer. She's a luxury beauty fashion influencer. We're teamed up with her. We're launching our own talent management agency as well. We're getting into educations. We're diversifying our services based on what clients require. And that's all about providing the whole shebang.
Got it. So anything else, we will go and ask our audience if they have any questions for you, but
Sure.
I think that's it from my side. So yeah, over to the audience. Let's see. Is digital marketing useful for a person in transition from manufacturing engineering to modern marketing?
I mean, the keyword is modern marketing. So modern marketing includes a lot of digital marketing. So absolutely, like there's no two ways about it. If you're thinking of how you can be a better marketer in today's day and age, digital marketing is absolutely the way forward. It is the future. In fact, even your poll says 100% of people have voted for digital is the future. So yes, the answer is there that absolutely you do require digital marketing if you're moving from any sphere into marketing. Yeah.
The next question is, what is the future of digital marketing?
I think we spoke a bit about that.
Yeah.
It's here to stay. It's evolving. It's ever evolving. There's always something new coming out. Digital as a platform is always evolving with newer technologies. So it's about just keeping up with the pace, and knowing what's happening. And yeah, I think the future is bright because literally you can convert customers from your content, right? You can actually get sales, you can get leads, you can get clicks on your website, and you can convert. And that's what brands want. They want to convert. They want to sell. And that's what digital actually allows you to do and track everything. Yeah.
Rohit is asking, what is the correct way to learn marketing, specifically digital marketing?
So, the tons of resources available online. For example, even as Shebang Academy, for example, we do like a lot of sessions externally as well. We try doing about 3 to 4 external sessions. So, always come and learn with us. Follow us on Shebang, for example. You'll find some of the key sessions we're doing every month. Come attend those sessions, learn from real world examples. But I think the best way to learn digital marketing is to go and intern at a digital marketing agency, because you'll get real world understanding. Of course, you can learn theoretically in books and then in news articles, but if you can actually get yourself into an agency, get your hands dirty, that's the best way to learn.
Got it. So Abhishek is asking, what is the future of affiliate marketing in India?
So affiliate marketing has, of course, been around for quite a while. It's a great way of getting conversions, especially for brands who want to tap into newer audience segments. So, there is a strong future in affiliate marketing, especially because it allows you to convert customers. Of course, the question we keep asking ourselves is that how ethical is affiliate marketing, because sometimes you end up advertising on platforms you don't want to be on because you don't have complete control over the affiliates. So there is a future of it, but it comes down to some bit of understanding how good the affiliate platforms actually are that you're advertising on.
Got it. So I think it's a repetitive question, but Ranveer is asking, what should I do if I want to have a career in marketing after MBA?
I think, Ranveer, if you want to start a career in marketing, just start off by interning. I mean, get an internship for sure. If you can get a permanent job, nothing like it, because it'll pay you well, it'll pay you better. But if you can start off by doing internship with an agency, that's probably the best entry into the world of marketing.
Great. So I don't think they have any. Do you have any more questions, guys? Just drop it in. We are waiting. And in case you can't, you can also send me. Maybe I can get back with you. Or you can maybe send directly to Akshay on LinkedIn. So
Yeah, LinkedIn, Instagram, both are my active platforms, so you can reach out to me there.
yeah, he responds very well and very fast also. I attest to that. So anyways, thank you so much. We are done with this webinar. Thank you so much, Akshay, for joining us and sharing your experiences. Taught a lot of things. I have no idea about marketing, but I learned a lot of things from this session. And thank you so much. All the best for Schbang and yourself, and for expanding it and giving India or making India, what do you say? Roshan karo India ko. Shit, my Hindi is not that great. Thank you so much, Akshay. Thank you, guys. Thank you for watching.
Thanks, Nandini. Thank you so much.